It was 10:30 a.m. on a quiet Saturday morning when Katt Williams walked through the front doors of the Los Angeles Central Library downtown. He wasn't there for any publicity event or scheduled appearance. He was there because his hotel Wi-Fi had crashed, he needed a quiet place to work on new material, and something about libraries had always appealed to him as spaces where people came to better themselves. The massive, historic building was moderately busy with the usual weekend crowd. Students working on assignments, elderly patrons reading newspapers, families with children exploring the children's section, and various individuals simply seeking a peaceful place to spend their Saturday. Katt found his way to the third floor, where the literature and philosophy sections offered plenty of quiet study areas. He settled into a corner table with his notebook and laptop, planning to spend a few hours working on jokes for his upcoming tour. He'd been there about 20 minutes when he noticed a commotion near the computer terminals. A teenage boy, maybe 16 or 17, was having what appeared to be a frustrated conversation with a librarian. "I'm sorry," the librarian was saying, "but you've exceeded your daily computer time limit. Library policy is 2 hours per day." "But I'm not done with my college application," the teenager said, his voice carrying a note of desperation. "The deadline is Monday, and I need to submit everything online." "I understand, but the time limits are there to ensure everyone gets access to the computers. You can come back tomorrow and use another 2 hours." "But tomorrow is Sunday. The library's closed." "Then you'll have to finish on Monday morning, before the deadline." Katt looked up from his work, intrigued by the conversation. The teenager was well-dressed, but clearly stressed, clutching a manila folder full of papers and documents. "Please," the teenager continued, "I don't have a computer at home. This is the only way I can submit my application. I've been working on it for weeks." The librarian, a middle-aged woman who seemed genuinely sympathetic, shook her head regretfully. "I'm sorry, but I can't make exceptions. If I bend the rules for one person, I have to bend them for everyone." The teenager stood there for a moment, looking defeated, then gathered his papers and walked toward the study area where Katt was sitting. He slumped into a chair at a nearby table and stared at his folder with obvious frustration. Katt watched him for a few minutes, then decided to approach. "Hey, young man," he said quietly, moving to the teenager's table. "I couldn't help but overhear. You're working on college applications?" The teenager looked up, recognizing Katt, but seeming too upset to be starstruck. "Yeah, or I was. I guess I'll have to figure something else out." "What's your name?" "Jason. Jason Rivera." "Nice to meet you, Jason. What colleges are you applying to?" "UCLA, USC, Cal State Northridge, and a few others, but UCLA is my dream school." He gestured toward his folder. "I've got everything ready, transcripts, essays, recommendation letters, but the application has to be submitted online, and I don't have internet at home." "What are you planning to study?" "Computer science. I want to develop software that helps low-income communities access technology and education." Jason managed a bitter smile. "Ironic, right? I want to help people with technology, but I can't even access the technology I need for my own education." Katt sat down across from Jason. "Can I ask why you don't have internet at home?" "My mom works 2 jobs just to keep us afloat after my dad left. Internet is a luxury we can't afford. I do most of my homework here at the library or on my phone when I can find free Wi-Fi." "And you've been using the library computers to work on your applications?" "Every day after school for the past 3 weeks, 2 hours at a time, working on essays, filling out forms, uploading documents. I thought I'd have everything done by now, but some of the applications are more complicated than I expected." Katt looked around the library, then back at Jason. "What if I told you there might be another way to finish your applications today?" "What do you mean?"
"I've got a laptop right over there. What if you used mine to finish your work?" Jason's eyes widened. "Are you serious? You'd let me use your computer?" "Why not? You need to finish something important, and I've got the resources to help. Seems like a no-brainer to me." "But you don't even know me. What if I mess something up or accidentally delete something?" "Jason, you're applying to study computer science at UCLA. I think you can handle using a laptop without breaking it. For the next 4 hours, Jason worked diligently on Katt's laptop while Katt continued writing in his notebook nearby. Occasionally, Jason would ask for advice on an essay question or share his excitement about a particular program he was applying to. "This is incredible," Jason said at one point, looking up from the laptop. "UCLA has this amazing program where computer science students can partner with community organizations to develop technology solutions for real-world problems. It's exactly what I want to do." "Sounds like you found your calling." "I hope so. I've been dreaming about this since I was 12 and first learned to code on an old computer my teacher let me take home." "You taught yourself to code?" "Mostly. I used library books, free online tutorials, whenever I could find Wi-Fi, and a lot of trial and error. My high school has a computer science class, but it's pretty basic. Most of what I know, I learned on my own." As the afternoon wore on, other library patrons began to take notice of what was happening. Katt had become an informal tech support person, helping Jason navigate the more complex parts of his applications while also troubleshooting technical issues. An elderly woman approached their table. "Excuse me, are you helping this young man with his college applications?" "Yes, ma'am." "That's wonderful. I'm a retired teacher, and I can't tell you how many bright students I've seen struggle with the application process just because they don't have access to the right resources." She turned to Jason. "What are you hoping to study, dear?" "Computer science. I want to develop technology that helps communities like mine." "That's exactly what the world needs. Young people who want to use their skills to help others." As word spread quietly through the library, several other patrons offered their assistance. A college professor helped Jason refine one of his essays, a librarian who was on her break showed him how to optimize his file uploads, and a graduate student offered advice about financial aid applications. "This is amazing," Jason said to Katt as the impromptu support network continued to grow. "I came here today thinking I was going to miss all my deadlines, and now I have like 8 people helping me." That's what happens when people see someone working hard toward a good goal. People want to help, they just need to know how. By 4 p.m., Jason had successfully submitted applications to all 6 schools on his list. He saved his work, closed the laptop, and sat back with a look of exhausted satisfaction. "I can't believe it's done. 4 years of work, and now it's all submitted." "How do you feel?" "Scared? Excited? Grateful." Jason looked at Katt seriously. "Mr. Williams, I don't know how to thank you. You literally saved my future today." "You saved your own future, Jason. You did all the work. I just provided the tool." "But without the tool, you would have found another way. That's what people like you do. You find solutions." As they prepared to leave the library, the elderly woman who had approached them earlier came back to their table. "Young man," she said to Jason, "I wanted to give you this." She handed him a business card. "I volunteer with a nonprofit that provides tech support to students from low-income families. When you get to college, if you need any additional resources, tutoring, internship opportunities, networking, please call me." "Thank you, ma'am. That's incredibly kind."
Kindness has nothing to do with it. It's an investment in our community's future. 3 months later, Katt received a text message from Jason. "UCLA accepted me with a full scholarship, starting in the fall. Thank you for believing in me." But the story didn't end there. 6 months after that, Jason called Katt with an update that would have implications far beyond his own education. "Mr. Williams, I wanted to tell you about something I'm working on. Remember that day in the library when you let me use your computer?" "Of course." "Well, it got me thinking about how many other students are probably in the same situation I was in. Smart kids with big dreams but no access to the technology they need to pursue them." "What did you do about it?" "I partnered with that nonprofit the lady at the library told me about. We're launching a program called Library Bridges. We're putting high-end laptops and internet hotspots in public libraries specifically for students working on college applications and scholarship essays." "That's incredible, Jason." "But here's the best part. We're also training volunteer mentors to help students with the application process. People like you, people who can sit with a student for a few hours and provide guidance and encouragement." "How many students have you helped so far?" In the pilot program, we've assisted 147 students with college applications. 86 of them have been accepted to four-year universities, and 63 have received scholarship offers. 2 years later, Library Bridges had expanded to libraries in 12 cities across California. Jason, now a sophomore at UCLA studying computer science and public policy, had become a nationally recognized advocate for educational equity and technology access. When Katt attended the program's second annual fundraising gala, he was amazed to see how far Jason's vision had grown. The event featured speeches from students who had been helped by the program, university representatives who had partnered with Library Bridges, and technology companies that had donated equipment and resources. During his speech, Jason told the story of that Saturday at the Los Angeles Central Library. 2 years ago, I was a frustrated teenager who thought he was going to miss his chance at college because I couldn't access a computer for long enough to submit my applications, he said to the audience of donors and supporters. But a comedian named Katt Williams saw someone who needed help and didn't hesitate to share his resources. He paused and looked directly at Katt, who was sitting at a table near the front. But more than sharing his laptop, he shared his belief that my education mattered, that my dreams were worth supporting. That's what Library Bridges is really about, not just providing technology, but providing the message that every student's future is worth investing in. After the event, Jason and Katt talked privately about the program's future. You know what the most rewarding part of this whole thing has been? Jason asked. What's that? Seeing other students have that same moment I had, when they realize that complete strangers are willing to help them succeed. It changes how they see themselves and their potential. And how do you see your potential now? Limitless, but also responsible. Every opportunity I've been given, every door that's been opened for me, comes with an obligation to open doors for others. 5 years after that day in the library, Jason had graduated from UCLA with degrees in computer science and public policy. Library Bridges had helped over 3,000 students gain access to higher education, and Jason had been accepted to graduate school at Stanford to continue developing technology solutions for educational equity. But he still volunteered at the Los Angeles Central Library every Saturday morning, helping students with college applications and providing the same kind of encouragement that had changed his life. I always come back to this library, Jason told a reporter who was writing about the success of Library Bridges, because this is where I learned that asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. And this is where I learned that helping others isn't just the right thing to do, it's the most rewarding thing you can do. Because sometimes the most ordinary places, a library on a Saturday morning, become the setting for the most extraordinary transformations. And sometimes the simple act of sharing what you have creates ripple effects that reach further than you could ever imagine.